Along the wild northern coast of Ireland, there's a crumbling castle that sits atop a mysterious mermaid cave and holds one of the greatest ghost stories of all time.
What is that?
So I teamed up with local explorer and big wave surfer Mennie to investigate this mysterious myth. It took us on a wild adventure through the mermaid cave and into the castle to find the ghost. Because legend has it, once the sun dips below the horizon, the lady in white haunts the castle tower as the ghost of Dunluce Castle. But this story starts on a different island, where all my Alison's adventures begin, at my Home Sweet Treehouse adventure headquarters on the beach.
Coconuts!
Oh! My best friend is an octopus named Ocho. He has 9 brains, but even with all that brain power, he couldn't help me figure out what to pack for Ireland. So I turned to my other BFF, Guava the Gecko. He's an excellent fashion consultant. Am I supposed to surf in this? I grew up in Hawaii, and well, we don't really wear wetsuits. Especially not one this thick.
This is coconuts.
Ooh, speaking of coconuts, they probably don't have those there. Okay, I think I have ghost hunt essentials.
Waterproof headlamp.
Ooh, and an array of cold weather gear.
Oh. See you later, Treehouse. Bye, Guava.
On my adventures, I always travel with my pink surfboard made out of recycled trash. I love finding treasures, investigating mysteries and legends, and of course, protecting our greatest treasure, our wild and wonderful waters. Growing up, my parents were adventure photographers for companies like National Geographic, so we were always on a quest to get the shot, and I wanted to be the greatest explorer of all time, and a princess, and a mermaid. So when I first heard about a magical maiden ghost in a mystical Irish castle with a mermaid cave, I was determined to meet this magical ghost and capture it on camera. Meanwhile, across the ocean in Ireland, a little boy named Al grew up along these very cliffs, just as excited by adventure and imagination. He also had a surfboard and big dreams. And years later, thanks to the modern magic of scroll writing, also known as Instagram, we connected, and it's awesome to see his dreams have come true. Today, Al is a legendary big wave surfer, a storyteller, and a protector of this coast. Yeah, he's kind of a big deal. Oh, and did I mention he's the first person to paddle from Ireland to Scotland? And the one person wild enough to help me find the ghost of Dunluce Castle. So I set off to Northern Ireland, where I finally got to meet the legend himself, Mennie.
Out of nowhere comes Alison, clad head to toe in pink.
And we dove straight into a board meeting to make a plan for our ghost hunt. After seeing the huge waves that Al surfs, I was a wee bit nervous, but today was a dream.
When Alison arrived and saw the water and felt the cold, she did a lot of this. It's coconuts! It's coconuts!
This is coconut! I surfed like a robot because it was the thickest wetsuit I've ever worn. But what really made me stoked was to see his pure joy in the smallest waves.
I love the sea. I've been brought up here on the beaches. My life is the sea.
And with my ocean jitters washing away, it was now time to dive into our ghost quest.
So as far as I know, no one has ever captured this ghost on film. And Alison hopes to be the first to capture it on film.
So we set off to the castle, and at last I could ask him the question that has mystified me since childhood.
Hey Al, why is the castle haunted?
Well, we have a ways to go, so let me tell you a ghost story of the lady in white. So Alison, imagine yourself as a maiden in love.
His storytelling swept me straight back in time, and ooh, he's cute. I can imagine loving him.
A maiden by the name of Maeve Rowe. Maeve lived in Dunluce Castle and fell in love with a man named Reginald. She just knew he was her one true love, her soulmate. But first, there's some things you should know about Maeve. She loved animals, nature, she loved daisies, but most of all, she loved Reggie. There was only one problem: her father. He wanted her to marry someone else, and thus Much of their relationship was kept in secret until her father found out and locked her in the castle tower. There, she was trapped, longing for Reginald.
His story had me on the edge of my stirrups, but we had made it to the castle.
Wow.
And there's the tower.
Whoa.
Look, there's the key there.
Whoa. Uh-oh.
Do you want to shelter in here for a second?
This is huge. Whoa.
Built in the 13th century, Dunluce Castle rises over 100 feet above the crashing Atlantic.
Look at the sun up there.
The sun's coming out. We have cakes on the griddle. Life ain't nothing but a funny riddle. Wow, look at that!
The castle is only accessible by a narrow bridge, making it nearly impossible to reach and even harder to escape.
How did you fit through this?
The tower door.
Hello?
Hello? Come in, come in.
Wow. This is the tower. So they locked her in here?
I know, like, think about it, being locked in this room. Alison and I stood there and tried to imagine what it would have been like to have been there in that castle, wanting to escape. All the time, that door closed, and you'd only have this.
Whoa. I would go coconuts.
And no fire to keep you warm.
You'd be just freezing.
As I tried hard to imagine life as Maeve in the tower, Al continued to tell the legend of the Lady in White.
Yes, she had an amazing view of the sea, but she didn't want to be locked in the tower. But her father didn't want her to marry the man that she loved.
Maeve wouldn't give up hope. One day, one of her animal friends heard her cry and came to console her. Maeve gave it a message to pass to Reginald, but Reginald didn't need any motivation. He was already missing his Maeve and concocting a dangerous plan. He wanted to be with her so much, he was prepared to risk his life. He snuck into the castle and rescued Maeve from the tower. They escaped down an underground tunnel which led to the massive cave below the castle known as the Mermaid Cave. Suddenly, the swell came up and the cave roared with the sound of crashing waves. But there was no turning back now. Their love depended on it. Reginald had stored a little rowing boat. He and Maeve climbed into it and tried to row out to sea. But there was a terrible storm. He bravely rowed out through the raging waves, but the sea was too strong. The dark, wild North Atlantic overturned the boat. Both he and Maeve fell into the water, never to be seen again.
Legend has it that to this day, the ghost of Maeve haunts the tower in the castle, known as the Lady in White.
And the story says she appears after the sun sets. So we waited for the Lady in White.
People have heard her, they've heard her scream, and we don't know if that scream comes from her being in the tower or being in the sea, drowning.
But she never appeared. And it was at that moment we realized we had to dive deeper into Maeve and Reginald's story.
Alison and I decided that the best way to investigate this was to go and retrace their footsteps, and that meant we had to go by sea.
So Al and I created a master plan. First, we'd have to navigate the cliffs near the castle and find a way down to the sea. And then we'd paddle our surfboards along the coast back to the mouth of the Mermaid Cave. From there, we'd paddle inside as far as the boards would take us and then continue by foot through the dark cave to the castle. By the time we'd reach the tower, it would be dusk, and we could spend the night within its walls with hopes of meeting the ghost of Dunluce Castle. The next day, we set off to get to the bottom of this mystery. But first, we had to get to the bottom of the cliff. And just when I was beginning to wonder how we'd actually get in the ocean, Al had a plan. Of course, wrapped in another story.
When I was a wee boy, exploring this coast with my dad, we found this secret tunnel that leads to the sea. It's so secret, I almost forgot where it was.
By golly and gee whiz, I think we found it.
So we set off on our adventure through a little tunnel
Operation Ghost underway.
in the dark basalt rock. We go down into the cave.
So we're just gonna go like 1, 1, 2, 3, and hope we make it out.
We jumped in, and I was trying to wait for his signal. 3, 2, 1, go! And with that, we paddled out into the wild North Atlantic.
And then we paddled out to sea through the raging surf. The sea was all over the place. I had my backpack on with all our clothes in it. We paddled and paddled and paddled.
And failed to see the huge storm closing in behind us.
In this part of the world, we have some of the strongest currents, some of the biggest tides in the world, and also some of the biggest waves. And it just so happened that on the night that we paddled out there, the sea was raging. Then we arrived at the mouth of the cave where Reginald and Maeve rode out through. So as we paddled into the cave, the waves were booming. There was white noise and then suddenly boom, boom.
We turned around to see a giant wave coming. Ow! Wave!
There was massive white water surging into the cliffs, pushing into the mouth of the cave.
Alison, watch out!
So I took in the deepest breath I could. And then I was under, and I didn't know which way was up. And suddenly, a vision of Maeve washed over me as she tried to struggle against the all-powerful ocean. And I remember thinking, am I dead? And then out of nowhere, I felt something scaly lift me to the surface.
Alison was telling me that there are mermaids in Hawaii, but we also have a mermaid here. Legend has it that in the cave below the castle, there is a mermaid.
And I think that day, she saved my life.
Oh my gosh.
You seen the mermaid?
Yeah, you saw her too?
The mermaid may well have been watching us going into her cave.
Well, that was seriously coconuts. I think I now officially believe in Irish magic. But so much for waterproof headlamps.
My torch, my headlamp. It's not working.
Mine's broken too.
We had no light to get through the cave.
So we have a ways to go in the cave, right?
It's a long way.
Pitch black.
Pitch black. It's gonna get darker and darker.
We can't go back through that storm.
Not through that. It's wild.
Freezing.
Oh, I have an idea.
You know what?
Al started collecting trash, and I'm all about beach cleanups. But right now, he said he had a plan. We weren't sure it would work, but I was on board.
For people to live and survive in this part of the world for centuries, we've had to be rugged and resilient.
And resourceful. Woohoo! Now that is a light. I'm still not exactly sure how we did it, but I'll chalk it up to the luck of the Irish. Before heading up the cave to the castle, we stood by the sea in a moment of silence to honor Reginald and Maeve. I tried to imagine being her, fleeing through a storm like this, leaving everything behind for the man you love. And suddenly, it was like I could physically feel her presence.
When Alison and I were standing on the rocks at the edge of the water, we were listening to the waves and the booming of the sea. But every now and again we heard a high-pitched squeal or screech or that kind of a sound. And we both looked at each other and wondered, is that Maeve? Is that the sound of the ghost that everyone hears?
Was she there? We looked around, but we didn't see her. The sound seemed to be coming from above us. Maybe she was in the tower. So we made our way through the cave to the castle.
There's a tunnel up there. Good? Yep. Whoa. Yeah, this is steep.
The fire kept playing tricks on my mind with the ghostly smoke. And by the time we saw the light at the end of the tunnel, I was so cold.
All right, we're almost out.
And other than the ghost, there was one mystery left unsolved. Did our clothes make it through dry? Another magic miracle. And now it was time for a cozy night in the tower. Taking our first steps into the castle, I finally felt like I was on a true ghost hunt.
Wait, what was that?
Every little noise or anything we heard, we thought that might have been the ghost. So we were turning like this, constantly wondering, was it the ghost? And Alison was going, this is coconuts.
Al had become like my big adventure brother.
So not cool.
Alison and I look like we're from two different planets. I'm 2 meters tall, so we look very unusual together, walking around in the dark, looking for a ghost.
The place was like a maze at night, but we finally found the tower.
What is it?
When Alison and I were walking around the castle at night, we came across a single white daisy, freshly picked, just lying on the ground. And we wondered, was that the daisy that Reginald put behind Maeve's ear while they were in the castle?
Did you feel that? Yeah. It was like a cold, like whoosh. Whoa.
Surfing big waves doesn't scare me anymore. But ghosts?
No way. You are seriously freaking me out.
All right, that's it. I'm hunkering down to watch for the lady in white. And then we saw it. An intense glow coming from the castle window. What in the world? On rare and enchanting nights, the sky above the castle ignites with the northern lights. Born from solar storms nearly 93 million miles away, it felt like a sign she was coming, and with that, we patiently waited for the ghost of Dunluce Castle. But it was so hard to stay awake. And I didn't want to be awake alone.
Look at the moon. Oh, that's spooky.
I now knew what Maeve must have felt like every night in that tower. I felt defeated too, but little did we know what was yet to come. First of all, morning. The view was spectacular, but not of the ghost.
So Alison and I, we hunted this coast in the hope of finding the ghost, but we didn't find the ghost. And Alison was very disappointed to be going back to Hawaii without even one ghost sighting.
It's a lot hotter back at Home Sweet Treehouse.
When we sat down and we were giving each other footage from the trip, and it was only then that we noticed in the background in some of the footage there appears to be a ghost, a lady in white.
Shimmer me timbers. Alison, can you see this?
It's truly coconuts.
She appeared several times behind us, above us, in front of us, in windows, in doorways, and we did not know that she was there watching us as we went on our adventure.
I couldn't believe it.
What?
Not only was it a ghost, but it was like she was guiding us.
Now that is coconuts.
I've always been obsessed with ghost stories, but now I know every ghost has a story.
It may well be that the ghost of Maeve originated from her family, feeling her presence, seeing her, believing she was there, and to this day, we carry that story with us.
A story we are now passing on to honor their love and legacy.
So young men and maidens, if you carry one thing away from this story, it's that ghosts aren't always a lady in white. They may be people you've loved and lost along this journey of life. And if you open your heart and mind, you might notice them in the flutter of a bird, the glow of a sunset, or on the whispers of the wind. If you're missing them, just remember, you are never truly alone.
Well, this has been one Coconuts adventure, and I'm so grateful for the friends I made along the way. And Magical Maeve and I may come from different islands, but the sea connects us. So when I got home, I did what we do to honor those who have passed. A paddle out with a flower blessing. And whether Maeve lives on as a wave, a flower, a mermaid, a bird, or a lady in white, I truly hope she will always be there to guide me.
That's a wrap!